July wrap-up. G'day to all you lovely people and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to give you a wrap-up of what I got up to in July. I'm not sure if people are going to find this interesting, but what I wanted to talk about was what I've been doing, what I've been watching, what I've been reading, how some of my plants are doing. If this is something that people enjoy, then I might make it a regular series. I don't know. So let's start off with July in Melbourne, Australia. It is midwinter. Yeah, I don't know if it happens with others, but when autumn turns to winter and it gets so cold that you can hardly spend time outside without rugging up, I really resent the change. I want nice weather. I want to be able to go out and just sit outside. However, it then gets to a point where you get used to the cold. You get used to it being freezing. Well, I know compared to some people, Melbourne's winters are quite mild, but for us who have grown up in this climate, our winters seem freezing. Regardless, I think I get to a point in usually July where I'm used to winter and I'm actually enjoying it. I'm enjoying being snug at home. I'm enjoying not having to go out all that much. And I do things that I generally don't do during other seasons. One of the things I do a lot of in winter is knitting. I generally knit throughout the year, but not always. Especially when it's hot, I find it impossible to knit. But when it gets cold, that's when my knitting needles come out. And I have to admit, this winter, I have been knitting up a storm. It's so strange. Some winters, it takes me a long time to knit anything, and other winters, I just churn them out. I've been mending some jumpers that had yarn unravel, which is a pain in the butt, I must admit. I hate mending jumpers that I've already knitted. But I did quite a few of those because there were several, and I'm currently on jumper number 3. I am just on a roll. However, I've been overdoing it, so my shoulder is killing me. So I'm going to have to take a bit of a break. For me, knitting is one of the most relaxing things. I do it mostly without thinking, and I usually do it when I'm watching something on television, whether it's YouTube or movies or TV shows. For some reason, I have not been in the mood to watch a lot of YouTube, except for a few channels who I watch religiously. But generally speaking, I have hardly watched any content on YouTube. I have instead been watching television shows. I watched the entire series of Deadwood. I have seen it before, but I wanted to rewatch it because there was a new film out. I also rewatched Doctor Who 2005. I watched the entire series. I just love that. It is one of my favorite sci-fi shows. And I just, last night actually, finished Broadchurch. I am generally not a fan of police procedurals. Not anymore, but that one was outstanding, I must admit. So that's what I've been watching. In addition to which, I have been reading so much more than I usually do. I was always a big reader, but I'd say for the last 10 years, I have hardly read in comparison to how many books I used to get through previously. I still read, but generally it's a few months and then I stop. But this year, however, I have definitely rediscovered my passion for reading, and I have been reading quite a bit. I started the Terry Pratchett Discworld books about a month and a half ago, and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to continue the series. And I read the second and third books in July, which I really enjoyed. But I have to be in the mood for something funny when I read the Discworld books, and it's been a weird month. I haven't really been in the mood for a lot of comedy, so I haven't read any more just yet. I decided instead to try the second book in the Grisha trilogy series by Leigh Bardugo. I think the book is called Siege and Storm. If you have seen my Shadow and Bone review, you will know that I did not like the first book. I loathed the second one. I absolutely hated it. Yeah, it was so immature and unbelievable. The dialogue was actually worse in the second book than it was in the first. I found it so irritating, so frustrating. I kept rolling my eyes and wanting to just abandon the book, but I kept pushing through. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm one of these people who has to finish what they start. Who knows? Regardless, it was a waste of my time. The main character, Alina, is horrific. I cannot abide her. She does not improve in this book whatsoever. She is such a whining child, and yet they considered her powerful enough to run the Grisha. Oh, please. There were so many things in this series that just did not ring true. And Alina is a character I despised. Really did. Even more so than I did in the first. And Mal, who we spent so much more time with, he was just tiresome. He was just, again, very immature. And I thought, no, I can't stand this couple. I don't want them to be together. I really don't care what happens to one or the other. And yeah, I despise them both. I just found the conflict that the author tried to create between them so irritating, so annoying. Wow. I cannot tell you how much I hated this book. Wow. The only redeeming quality, and even that was only slight, is the new character Nikolai, I think his name is. He was not bad, but again, extremely irritating and unbelievable. And the Darkling, we hardly got to see him. So as far as I'm concerned, I wasted several hours of my life reading that. I will never read any more Bardugo books. I am done. Yeah, really, there was no improvement as far as I was concerned. I did not see any real draw to the story anymore. I really didn't care what happened to any of these characters, not even the Darkling. I even went and read spoilers as to how this series ended because I knew I wasn't ever going to read the third book. And did I like how it ended? Hell no. I thought typical, yeah, romanticized, sentimental bullshit. It just made me hate the entire series even more. I can see why some people would like it. It's a romance. Basically, the fantasy is just the setting. It is like placing a romantic story on a tropical island as far as I was concerned. There really is nothing in this book that I found appealing. And I'm actually a little resentful that I wasted my time even reading it, thinking that perhaps it was worth it. If you are an older person, mature, who likes adult fiction, don't waste your time. This series is not worth it. It really is a series for very young girls even. I don't even know if it would appeal to male readers. In fact, I would give it a score of 1 out of 10. That is how much I despised it. I will not be reading any more Bardugo books. I know she's brought out a subsequent duology. I think it's called The Six of Crows. I did read the blurb and I thought, are you kidding? I just don't find this believable already. And we're just looking at the blurb, so I'm not going to waste my time with it. Frankly, there are far too many other authors out there that I would prefer to give a go. I feel 2 books was sufficient to give me an overall picture of this author's style, and it is not my cup of tea whatsoever. Harsh review, right? We can't all like the same books, can we? We're all drawn to some things and despise others. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm right and you're wrong. I don't think right or wrong even comes into the equation when it's opinions that we are talking about. I think it is simply a matter of taste. That is all. So that was a waste of my time. And then I continued with the Dresden Files series, and I am currently on book 5. I cannot put them down. I am absolutely loving them. Really? Wow, I have not enjoyed a series so much in years. I'm loving the character Harry Dresden more and more with each subsequent book. I originally bought 5 of the books in a box set. And I think I was in the middle of 2 and I decided, no, I have to get the rest. So I did. I bought all but the last book. I haven't bought the last book because it wasn't available online. And I forgot to mention, we are in lockdown yet again, number 5. Meant to be for 5 days, it has been extended and we are now in our 2nd week. Yes, there's been a big outbreak in Sydney. And they are really struggling to bring the numbers down. And unfortunately, it's spilled over into Melbourne. But it looks like our numbers are much better, so perhaps we will get out of lockdown soon. I hope so. They are really frustrating. They are so disruptive to our lives, no doubt about it. And whilst I'm talking about that, I got my first Pfizer vaccine. I am so happy that I was finally able to organise it. Unfortunately, our government has royally messed up the vaccine rollout in Australia, and it has been extremely difficult to get the vaccine. We've had conflicting medical advice as to which vaccine you should get according to what age you are. There haven't been a lot of vaccines available, but I am now at least partially vaccinated. My next one is due in a couple of weeks, and then I will be fully vaccinated and I will feel a lot happier. And if you haven't been vaccinated, please do get vaccinated. It just helps us all be safe. I'm not so much concerned about myself as I am about giving it to someone else who is extremely vulnerable. That's what worries me about COVID, is that, if I get sick, so be it, it happens, but I don't know if I could ever live with myself if I gave it to somebody else. I personally feel that if it is going to help protect the most vulnerable people in our community, then we have an obligation to do as much as we can, including getting vaccinated. It's all very well saying, well, I refuse to have it because I don't agree with vaccinations, but you may not be a person at risk. What about those who are vulnerable, who are at risk? Don't we, as a society, have an obligation to protect them? I think we do. So please, if you haven't already, do get vaccinated. That is all I wanted to say about vaccinations. As I said, I'm half done. Like a roast, right? Anyway, okay. And next I wanted to talk about how some of my plants are doing. And keep in mind that we are in midwinter in Australia. So of course our plants, or some of them anyway, are suffering a little. I'm going to start with my Dieffenbachia. My Dieffenbachia tiki. What a pain in my ass. Seriously, this plant, I'm so sick of it. I just want it to die. Wow, I sound so harsh, but it's true. That one has been up and down, up and down. It did so well in spring and summer. It put out all these beautiful, beautiful leaves and I loved it. It was gorgeous. And then in mid-autumn, it just started killing off every one of its leaves for no reason that I can find. It was not attacked by any pests. There are no fungal issues or other diseases that I can recognize anyway. I did not think it was a watering issue, but regardless of anything I did for this plant, it just kept killing off every one of its leaves. It is down to one, and that one is ready to die. And as far as I'm concerned, I wish it would hurry up and die. Yeah, that one has been so frustrating. I've actually placed it behind my couch so I don't even have to look at it anymore. I don't know if others do that, but seriously, who the hell wants to be looking at a plant that just will not tell you what the hell is the problem, and regardless of how much care you provide it with, just decides, yeah, I don't want to live. As far as I'm concerned, if it wants to commit suicide, then it can. Anyway, so that one is not doing well whatsoever, and it is extremely frustrating. The other plant that hasn't been doing well, and which has really saddened me, is my Peperomia obtusifolia jade. Oh, that one was so big and healthy, and it seems like I have overwatered it. I wasn't sure. I thought perhaps I must have underwatered it, but I noticed on the back of some of the leaves it had like tiny little brown spots, and I did some research, and of course I can't know for certain, but it seems to me to be what I think is called oedema, which usually occurs when the plant is overwatered and the excess water bursts what I call capillaries in the leaves. I actually have found that with another Peperomia, my Amigo Marcello. I thought perhaps it was a pest. It isn't a pest. I'm fairly certain it is oedema. I don't know how to pronounce it. So clearly I overwatered my Jade obtusifolia, and it was just dropping leaf after leaf after leaf. So I took several stem cuttings, insurance cuttings, to make sure that it didn't die. And it's looking really sad at the moment, but what can you do, right? These things happen. Regardless, I am quite gutted that my jade is looking so sad at the moment. It did grow very quickly for me when I first got it. I think within a year it grew like, 30 centimeters. So perhaps in spring it will put on a big spurt of growth. Regardless, I have to get the watering right to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Lesson learned, right? Yeah. I didn't want to end on a sad note, so now I'm going to show you a plant that is doing really well and which has made me so happy because it was struggling at one point. And that is my Peperomia incarna. I got this one about 9 months ago, from Maythorani plants, and it was in terrible condition. The leaves had black marks on them, which I'm assuming was overwatering, and it looked pathetic. It really did. I'll insert some footage so you get to see what it looked like when I first received it. I placed the plant 4 meters back from my north-facing window, which is the brightest light we get in Australia, and it started deteriorating. It wasn't looking very happy. It dropped more leaves, and in a panic, because I did panic, I moved it. I put it in my study, right up next to my east-facing window, which does have a curtain there, so the light that the plants get there is filtered. It doesn't burn them. And it has exploded. My incarna is looking so good right now. I can't get over how much it has improved just with higher light. If ever you needed proof that light plays a major part with the health of our plants, that one is a perfect example. I would have thought that the light in my living room is medium, but clearly the incarna prefers high light because it is now just looking so good. Oh, tell me it doesn't look gorgeous, because I cannot get over the transformation of this plant. Well, that is all I wanted to talk about today. Let me know what you think of this idea of doing a monthly wrap-up as such. I still haven't decided what I want to call it, actually. And you can put it down in the comments, or you can contact me on Instagram. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate all of you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then you can do the usual. You can like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.